Now, the clamor for more freedom began soon after independence when the first Vice President Jaramogi Oginga Odinga defied with founding President Jomo Kenyatta and coined a clarion call "Not Yet Uhuru." The Kanu regime was forced to repeal Section 2A of the Constitution in 1991 and make Kenya a multi-party state after sustained pressure from the opposition, the clergy, civil society, and the international community. Now, our senior reporter Patrick Amimo has more on the push for plural politics as Kenya marks 50 years of independence.
The Republic of Kenya was founded under a multi-party system. The Kenya African National Union (KANU) was the ruling party, while Kenya African Democratic Union (KADU) formed the opposition. But soon, KADU joined KANU to make Kenya a single-party state. A few years later, founding President Jomo Kenyatta differed with the first Vice President Jaramogi Oginga Odinga over ideological reasons. Jaramogi parted ways with Kenyatta in 1966 after a conference in Limuru settled on 8 regional vice presidents, which watered down Jaramogi's influence. Jaramogi ditched KANU and formed the Kenya People's Union. In 1969, Kenyatta banned Jaramogi's party KPU, detained its leaders, and called elections in which only KANU was allowed to participate, and effectively turning Kenya into a one-party state. Indeed, the Independence Constitution was amended to strengthen presidential powers.
Devolution of power was taken away, Senate was dissolved, the regional governments were dissolved, and the power was concentrated at the presidency.
President Kenyatta died in August 1978 and was succeeded by Daniel Moi. In 1982, multipartism was banned and KANU remained the only ruling party. Some politicians who were perceived to be anti-establishment were arrested and detained. In 1988, KANU introduced queue voting system where secret ballots were no longer used. The elections were criticized as shambolic. The church strongly criticized the government over the Mlolongo elections where KANU engaged in massive rigging. Kenyan Anglican clergy like the late Archbishops Manasseh Kuria and David Gitari and late Anglican bishops Henry Okulu and Alexander Muge used the pulpit to oppose the Mlolongo voting system and advocate for a multi-party system. Timothy Njoya of the Presbyterian Church was also the other clergy who used the pulpit to shape the political destiny of Kenya by fearlessly pointing out the excesses of the ruling class. In July 1990, opposition politicians led by Jaramogi Oginga, Kenneth Matiba, Charles Rubia, Ahmed Bahamariz, Masinde Muliro, and Martin Shikuku, in the company of young Turks led by James Orengo and Raila Odinga, stormed Kamukunji grounds to crusade for introduction of plural politics. This marked the first Sabasaba Day and a second liberation. Police violently dispersed the demonstrators. Matiba, Jaramogi, Rubia, and other activists were arrested and detained. International pressure came to bear, and international aid to Kenya was suspended in 1990.
Tuondoe ile section ya katiba ya Kenya ya 2A.
In December 1991, at a KANU delegates meeting at Kasarani Stadium, then President Daniel Moi convinced delegates to repeal Section 2A of the Constitution, thereby making Kenya a multi-party state. The presidential tenure was also set to a maximum of 2 terms. In the 1992 multi-party elections, the major opposition, the Forum for the Restoration of Democracy (FORD), could not agree on a leader to challenge KANU. FORD split into 3 parties and Daniel Moi won the elections with just 1/3 of the total vote. In the run-up to the 1997 elections, there was another clamor for more reforms from the opposition that had been unable to eject KANU from power. The focus now was on a new constitutional dispensation. Hired KANU goons clobbered Njoya at Parliament during the Sabasaba 7th anniversary when Kenyans agitated to have the constitution overhauled before the elections. The government, which was keen to silence opposition, even used KANU youth wingers to mete violence on Kenyans agitating for an expanded democratic space.
That was like birth pains. It's like a maternity ward for us to deliver a new Kenya.
Multipartism only opened up the space to increase the political parties, but it did not respond to the fundamental issues of governance in this country.
KANU defeated the opposition in 1997, but in the run-up to the 2002 elections, several opposition parties led by popular leaders agreed on a united front to defeat KANU. The National Rainbow Coalition (NAC) was born with Mwai Kibaki as torchbearer. Kibaki whipped KANU's Uhuru Kenyatta and formed the NARC government. And to further strengthen pluralism, Kenya adopted a new constitution in August 2010 following the 2007 post-election violence.
We now need to look at the fundamental issues of the economy, employment for young people.
Kenyans have witnessed positive gains under the multi-party system.
Kenya are much more freer and aware of their sovereignty. But the most disappointing thing is that we have a rogue parliament. Therefore, it's as if we are being held hostage by the behavior of parliament, insistent of having more money, and yet we are fighting for the poor to have jobs.
We now have a more accountable governance. President Uhuru, for example, cannot do the things Moi used to do.
The struggle for multipartism was not easy. Some people lost their lives, others were detained. And even as Kenyans enjoy the expanded democratic space, there's need to be vigilant to ensure that the democratic gains are not reversed. Patrick Amimo, KTN.